Ron said we still have time, 10 more minutes of singing. So when I finish, Ron will come up here and y'all can just sing for 10 more minutes. I was going to compliment Dustin on handling that problem with the song, but I'm not going to do it now. So just letting you know. Okay, Luke 2. The passage we just read, but I want to start in verse 50, and I want to read it and change a word, okay? But they did not understand the statement which he spoke. Meanwhile, he went down with them and came to Nazareth. See, I think that's the meaning of the transition. Meanwhile, the Jesus that we encountered this morning, who showed us the mission of submission, is the same Jesus who went home with his parents to Nazareth. Same guy. And he took with him the mission of submission. Then the verse transitions, and I like the transition that says, meanwhile. I like it because it says this. One, Jesus defined his ultimate mission. And he said it no fewer than 20 times. He said, the bridegroom will be taken away, and you will not see him, though you'll search for him. 3 times. The Son of Man is going away, and you don't know where he's going. And about 16 more times, Jesus identified, using that same terminology, I am the bridegroom, and I'm going to be taken away. I am the Son of Man, and I'm going away. Over and over again in his earthly ministry, Jesus defined his ultimate mission. We saw this morning, his parents didn't even get it. The Jews certainly didn't get it. The disciples heard it over and over. All of these times, and I listed them there for you in the outline, all of the times that he mentioned it, they heard it. They were there. But they didn't get it. They didn't understand. But this same Jesus, who said, my mission is to submit. My ultimate mission is to be here and then go there. That's what he said. Meanwhile, tonight we notice the meanwhile mission. Because that's our ultimate mission too. Our ultimate mission, be here and go there. But meanwhile, in the meantime, what? Well, that's what these next verses are about. And so for a few minutes, not 40, think with me about how to submit to the mission. Verse 51. He went down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject to them. He was the subject of conversation. He was talked about his whole life while he was here. We've been talking about him ever since. He was the subject of subjection. Now think about this. This Jesus who made everything subjected himself to everything that he had made. That's pretty cool. He was subject to his parents. You think his parents ever gave him a job to do? Jesus, you need to take out the trash. Jesus, I want you to sweep out the house. Think about that. Jesus was subject to his parents telling him what to do. Not only do I think about it from his standpoint, think about it from his parents' standpoint. We think we have an obligation. We think we have an awesome job and a task to raise our children. We didn't raise the Son of God. He was subject to them. But he was also subject to the government. Jesus instituted governments. Jesus is over all government, but he was subject to government. He was asked one time, "Does your master not pay taxes?" Jesus said, "Yeah. You give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's. You give to God the things that are God's." He gave Peter a commission. "Peter, go out there and catch fish. When you catch it, open his mouth. There'll be a coin there. Go pay the taxes." Jesus was subject to the government. Jesus was subject to the law of his parents, to the law of his government, and to the law of Moses. He kept every feast. He offered every sacrifice. Will you turn to Ephesians chapter 2? It's usually dangerous to throw out a new idea. But in fairness, I did some research and I haven't found anybody that wrote on the topic, so I don't know how to assess it except throw it out there. We got a lot of smart people here. Maybe you can help me with it. Ephesians 2, verse 14. "For he himself is our peace, who has made both one and has broken down the middle wall of separation, having abolished in his flesh the enmity," the hatred. "That is the law of commandments contained in ordinances, so as to create in himself one new man from the two, thus making peace, and that he might reconcile them both to God in one body through the cross, having put to death the enmity. And he came and preached peace to you who are far off and to those who are near." I've always said, preached, and everything that I read seems to be true. He abolished in his flesh the hatred surrounding the law of Moses, which divided the Jews from the Gentiles. The Gentiles hated the Jews because they thought they were so good. And the Jews hated the Gentiles because we have a law. We're special and you're not. And that's certainly included here. But notice something else. Didn't the death of Jesus erase the enmity, the hatred, the gap between God and man? Sure, it happened at the cross, because at the cross he took the law of Moses away. What is it that causes the separation between God and man? Sin. What was the purpose of the old law? To reveal that we are sinners. So I have this question. Did Jesus get rid of the hatred between God and man because he lived the law perfectly? And by keeping it perfectly, the separation was gone, in that a man kept it. In his flesh, he kept it. But in his flesh, of course, he died and sent it away. But he was subject. Jesus was subject to the law of his parents, his government, his God. Meanwhile, until he gets there, I'm subject to parents, government, and God. Back to verse 51, or 52. And Jesus increased in wisdom. His meanwhile mission took him to school. It's almost hard to think of. Jesus needed wisdom. Well, certainly, as God, he did not need wisdom, but as human, in his flesh, he needed wisdom. Isn't it hard to imagine Jesus going to school? You remember going to school and that one student that got every answer right? Every time the teacher answered a question, and they always got it right, you never, always. Can you imagine going to school with Jesus? To say that Jesus never sinned may not be the same as saying he never missed a math question. May not. It may not be the same as saying that he learned something in science that he didn't know, because as a human he had learned. Jesus, meanwhile, until he went there, he went to school. He increased in wisdom. You don't increase in wisdom without going through stuff that gives you wisdom, without going through difficulty, without going through trial, without going through things that push back at you. I wonder if you ever encountered a bully on the playground. I just wonder how much of the child experience that we went through or are going through, Jesus did too while going to school here. And he said, I'm going there. But meanwhile, I'm going to school here. He increased in wisdom and stature. He went through growing pains. You remember as a kid, maybe you lie down at night before you go to bed and your legs just started hurting. What do we call them? Growing pains. You think Jesus had growing pains? You think Jesus ever had a stomach ache? A headache? Sinus trouble? He was physical. His human body experienced the things that we do. He grew in stature. I get tired of the depictions I see of Jesus that make him look like he'd never been a day in the sun. I haven't yet been able to run down all the info, but I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to one day make myself just sit down and figure it out. But I'm pretty sure that when the Bible uses the fact that Jesus was a carpenter, that's not the right term. There's not a lot of wood over there. I think he was a stonemason. I think that's the point. I think they made most everything like that. And it seems to me, when you look at the difference between a stonemason and a woodworker, you just might see a physical difference in the size of the muscles and the strength of the back. Jesus grew in stature. It wouldn't surprise me if he went to the gym, worked out. Because he had to train his body. And it doesn't do a disservice to Jesus, the Son of God, to think of him experiencing the life that we did in growing up. He said, I'm going there. But meanwhile, I'm going through the growing pains. And in favor with God and man. His submission to the mission, his meanwhile mission, pushed him. Pushed him. Isn't it interesting that he grew in favor with his own father? This is my beloved Son in whom I am. What? Well pleased. You know why? Because he grew in favor with his father. It pushed him spiritually. His meanwhile mission pushed him in a spiritual direction. But his meanwhile mission pushed him in a social direction. Now, we're all different. Some of us can't stand it when we are not around people. Some of us can't stand it when we are around people. That's just how it is. But it seems to me we cannot be who we're supposed to be if we just cloister ourselves away and we don't have any social interaction with people at all. I think we have to push ourselves through that difficulty of social interaction to be the person God wants us to be. Jesus was pushed. He said, I'm going there. But meanwhile, I'm going to be pushing myself in a spiritual direction. I'm going to be pushing myself in a social direction. Because you know what? Jesus defined the person that he was through submitting to the mission. He defined himself by living the meanwhile mission. And guess what? We are defining ourselves by our meanwhile mission. Why are we here? We're going there. Meanwhile, we have to be subject to our parents, to the government, to God. Meanwhile, we have to go to school while we're here. Meanwhile, we have to go through the growing pains of the physical life that includes the shutting down of life. We have growing pains when we're young, and we have growing pains when we're old. We got to go through it. And we're going to push ourselves spiritually and socially. Now, look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Quickly. Starting in verse 9, 3 things. This will define us. Our meanwhile mission is going to define us here. Listen to what he says, verse 9. Therefore we make it our aim. That word is aspiration. Goal, target. We make it our aim, whether present or absent, to be well-pleasing to Him. It will define our aspirations, our meanwhile mission. When people look at us, they're going to see what our aspirations really are. So where are they? I need to ask myself, where are my real aspirations? And are they all focused horizontally? Because they better be focused vertically. 2, we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that each one may receive the things done in the body according to what he has done, whether good or bad. Our meanwhile mission will determine our ultimate judgment. No, we all know we're not talking about do more good than you do bad and you're okay. But we are saying that we have to pay attention to this, because the way we live this will determine how God's going to judge us in the end. Knowing therefore the terror of the Lord, we persuade men. Our meanwhile mission will reveal how much we really care about somebody else. We know the terror of the Lord. Paul said, because of that, we try to persuade other people. So I like this. I like how this passage reads. I like it that Jesus said, I'm going there. That's my ultimate goal, my ultimate mission. Everything is set upon that. Meanwhile, I'm not there yet. So meanwhile, in the meantime, this is what I have. Like him, I need to challenge myself to be submissive to that mission. Live out your meanwhile mission. It'll be unique to you. It'll be the people you hang around. It'll be the people that you encounter. It will be the places that you work. It will be the places that you live. It will be the activities in which you engage. It will be you. And remember, when Jesus encountered his parents who wanted to know why he'd done what he had done, he said, I got to be me. I want you to be you, but I want you to have his mission meanwhile. I hope it helps. I hope it encourages. I hope it reminds. I hope we are better people for having been here. May we be involved with the Lord in our ultimate mission and meanwhile in our mission here. Can we help you tonight? Something on your heart, something on your mind that you need us? Our shepherds will meet you.